Welcome to Brewers Daily. I am your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to on the show here on this Friday. Lots been happening here. The arbitration deadline has come and gone. So the Brewers have deals with some of their players, but not with all of them. Also, a new addition to the Brewers front office. And we got to talk about the TV deal because we got some big news coming in there. But we got to start with the big actual transactions, the signings. Brewers coming to terms with 5 of their 6 arbitration eligible players as the deadline came and passed on Thursday. A lot of them coming in slightly under their projections. Andrew Vaughn was projected at 7.8. He agrees to a deal at $7.65 million. Bryce Terang projected at $4.4 million, comes in at $4.15 million that he's going to play on this next season. Angel Serpa was projected at $1.2 million, and he comes in at $1.095 million for the year. And Garrett Mitchell projected at $1 million even, and he agrees and settles with the Brewers at $950,000 for 2026. Trevor McGill, the only one that came in slightly above projections. He was projected at 4.2, and he ends up signing for $4.7 million. So the Brewers got their closer under contract, their second baseman, center fielder, left-hander reliever, first baseman. They got all those guys in. A lot of them slightly under projections, but all kind of right around in that ballpark. So certainly great to see. The Brewers made the announcement Thursday afternoon with those 5 players agreeing to terms. And once they make that announcement, you're thinking, okay, William Contreras is still out there. There's one player that the Brewers have not yet agreed to terms with, and that is going to indeed be the case as the deadline has come and gone and the two sides have filed. So Contreras, he was projected by MLB Trade Rumors to get $11.1 million in arbitration, a very sizable number. But Contreras, coming off a bit of a down season, somewhat. He struggled with power the first couple of months, dealing with the broken middle finger. Then finally kind of turned it on in the second half a little bit more. But he ends up filing with the Brewers, not quite agreeing to terms after his club option for the season was declined. And we went through this last year with Contreras, where the two sides were about $1 million apart, and they filed, and they got close to a hearing, but right before they had to go in, they came to terms on a deal for basically right in the middle at $6 million, with a club option for 2026 at $12 million, about a $100,000 buyout. The Brewers took the buyout this year, and instead are going through this arbitration process again. So this is the second year that William Contreras is arbitration eligible. The record for a second-time arbitration eligible catcher is Will Smith at $8.55 million. Now these two players are very comparable. You look at the numbers, through the first couple of years, when Will Smith was getting to that number, 15 wins above replacement on Baseball Reference. William Contreras, 15.2. OPS plus for Smith, 127. OPS plus for Contreras, 121. So very similar numbers, some similar power numbers, similar RBIs, very, very similarly quantifiable players. And the record is 8.55. The Brewers filed at $8.55 million for William Contreras for the upcoming season. They know their comps, and they know precedent, okay? They don't want to necessarily set a record. Now, they basically agreed to do that last year with Contreras because they were coming in at about, 5.5, 5.25, somewhere around there. I forget which exactly it was, but that was also right around tops for a first-time arbitration-eligible catcher. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. And then finally they agreed to terms at $6 million, which set a new record there. And now the record is at $8.55 million. And William Contreras has filed for $9.9 million. So the projection of 11.1 was way overblown. The projection, it was not even that actually close to the actual numbers here. So there's a sizable gap, just about $1.5 million, slightly under gap between the two sides. Not as bad as Tarek Skubal, though. Him and the Tigers are $13 million apart. It's wild. But that's neither here nor there. For William Contreras, this is not a difference that they can't overcome. But if it comes to a hearing, the Brewers are going to have a pretty good case because the numbers between Contreras and Will Smith are so comparable, and because that is the present record. It's going to be hard to justify Contreras being, $1.4 million more than the current record. It's going to be hard to raise it that much. So ultimately, I hope these two sides will settle, that we don't have to go into a hearing and the Brewers have to talk about all the ways in which William Contreras sucks, which he really doesn't. He's arguably the best catcher in baseball. A fantastic leader for the team. There's no one tougher in baseball than him. I mean, playing through a broken middle finger all season long, although it did sap his power. His numbers took a dip a little bit this past year. So there are the issues there. But whatever it is, the Brewers will find something and they'll find a way to twist it in order to win that hearing. Because historically, they are very, very good at that. It's unneeded. I think it's unnecessary. I don't think anyone likes doing it because you're smack talking one of your best players. And I think they'd rather not do that, especially doing it to his face because he's going to be there and he's going to hear it. And, I mean, you saw it with Corbin Burns. It very much upset him when the Brewers did that. So, but you got a big difference here in the filing. But the Brewers set themselves, as much as it may look, that's so low that the Brewers are filing at, they filed at the highest number for a second-time arbitration-eligible catcher in history. So I think that's the perfect spot for the Brewers to file at. I think if it goes to a hearing, the Brewers stand a good chance of winning. But ultimately, I hope that they don't go to a hearing and ultimately they do agree to a deal. They settle somewhere in the middle. Maybe they can settle at $9 million, right in the middle there. I think that'd be a very solid spot for them. But we shall ultimately see, but no deal yet for William Contreras. Hearings aren't until early February, so it's right around the time spring training is getting started is when those hearings are. So we still got a little bit of time. We still got a couple of weeks until a hearing's going to happen, but that is the difference. William Contreras at $9.9 million, the Brewers at $8.55 million. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks here, and how the Brewers front office wants to attack the situation. And the Brewers front office is also gaining a new member, as they have announced the hiring of former Twins general manager Thad Levine. So Levine, he was never the lead decision maker for the Twins front office. He was always under Derek Falvey, the president of baseball operations, but he spent 8 years as the GM of that organization. And Levine, I mean, they saw quite a bit of success in that tenure, 4 playoff runs, 3 AL Central titles in those 8 years. So that's a pretty decent run of success. But the Brewers are continuing, this trend of hiring former general managers, bringing them in as special assistants, because that's what he is. He's gonna be a special assistant in baseball operations. So they're gonna find some stuff for him to do. It's a different voice, different perspective that comes in that can bring in maybe some different ideas than the current Brewers front office. And they're gonna find ways for him to help. The Brewers did this with Matt Klentak, the former Phillies general manager. Didn't have the greatest run as the lead decision maker out there, gets fired, but then he ends up landing in the Brewers front office, and he's been a very good member of that front office, a trusted member for Matt Arnold in that group for the past couple of seasons. So they're hoping Thad Levine can bring more of the same, and I'm excited. I think this is a very good hire by Matt Arnold. I mean, he's a 2-time executive of the year, and you don't really get there by being insulated. Here's looking at you, Colorado Rockies. You don't want to be insular. You want to listen to all these different voices, different perspectives. Ultimately, it's Matt Arnold's decision at the end of the day, but having someone with that experience as a general manager, Thad Levine, obviously a very good baseball mind, so excited to see what he will bring to this front office, because they got a lot of very smart guys in there. Other teams around the league, they know it. They've been hiring guys away from this Brewers front office. So being able to bring back, some really strong baseball minds, that's a very good thing. So very excited for that. And finally here, we get to the TV deal, and this is going to be exhausting. But the Brewers have dropped FanDuel Sports Network, Main Street Sports Group, the basically what used to be Diamond Sports Group, which runs all these regional sports networks, they're broke. They're running out of money again. The sale that they were thinking of to DAZN has fallen through, so they're no longer getting that buyout. They're no longer getting that influx of cash. So they are worried that they're not going to be able to have operations for the entire season. And Fubo is potentially entering as a possible buyer, but there's no sure thing there that's going to end up happening. So all of Major League Baseball's remaining teams, all 9 of them, including the Brewers, have dropped FanDuel Sports Network. They have dropped the contract. It is done. The Brewers are TV free agents at the moment. So it's unlikely that there's going to be some other network stepping in, because regional sports networks are dying. And it's been a relatively slow death, or maybe even quick death. I mean, really, how quickly it's gone downhill here in the past couple of seasons. But either way, it's more likely than not at this point that the Brewers will then turn their TV rights over to Major League Baseball, and it'll be MLB.TV that'll take over the broadcasts of the game. So that's where things are kind of trending, because teams want to keep their options open. The Brewers want to keep their options open. There's a chance they could come back on revised terms, but Main Street Sports Group, FanDuel Sports Network, they've been missing payments. They missed a payment to the Cardinals. They missed a payment to the Marlins. So they are having financial struggles big time. No word on if they've had any missed payments to the Brewers exactly yet, but still, they are having trouble making their payments. And so the teams, including the Brewers, have decided to drop them. They could come back if Main Street Sports Groups ends up getting some sort of influx of cash somehow. I don't know how. I don't know if Fubo's going to come through or where else that may come from. But it's going downhill. And MLB stands at the ready as the most likely fallback for the Brewers and all these other teams if FanDuel Sports Network cannot get it together and get their operations going for this upcoming season. So we've only got a couple of weeks left until spring training gets started up. I'm not anticipating a ton of spring training TV games for the Brewers this year, just because FanDuel's having such issues. But it's going to be... they've got a little bit of time to figure this out, but not much, because the season's coming up fast, and they're going to have to get themselves ready for it. So the Brewers are keeping their options open, but FanDuel Sports Network may be, their days may be numbered. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But as of right now, the Brewers contractually are television free agents, so they're going to be looking for some place to have those rights for the upcoming season. Don't worry, there will be a way to have the games televised this upcoming season. They will find a way to do that, but in all likelihood, that would be with Major League Baseball. So it could be a completely different setup, not the channel that you're used to, but there's going to be a way to get to watch Brewers baseball this upcoming season. It just may likely not be on FanDuel Sports Network. But you can always watch Brewers Daily here on YouTube every single day. Be sure to subscribe and get notified every single time a new episode drops, Monday through Friday. We're going to be dropping them. Lots to talk about. We got arbitration. Hopefully we'll have some further updates there on Contreras, and hopefully he'll end up going to or settling instead of going to a hearing. And very excited for what's to come. Next week we also got International Signing Day for the international amateur players. Going to dig into that next week as well, so very excited for that. So be sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. Got a lot of great analysis and insight there on the Milwaukee Brewers, and I appreciate you listening, making it this far, and enjoying the show here. And we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.